But that's a really cool trick, by the way, just so you know.
Self-checking AI.
Yeah, like pretend like you're five. I told her, I was like, pretend like you're five very difficult clients. Don't answer this like fruitfully. Answer like almost like not want to answer or give like half answers or right, like just be difficult. And it did. It ran through 5 different types of clients that could come to with all sorts of different health conditions, and it found the bugs. I have literally become the health coach that I've always dreamed of becoming.
Because of AI.
Because of AI. Because I now have access and the capacity to remember breadth of knowledge that I now have access to peer-reviewed studies that came out of Japan and Sweden, and I have access to agents now that I've built out that are trained in functional toxicology. Before AI, it was taking me hours to go through with each client. It would never be as thorough as what it is now. I think because there was a human element, maybe there's a little bit of a fear of judgment, of really sharing what is happening. Like some clients would keep things a little bit more secretive.
Welcome to Artificial Reality, the reality behind AI adoption. I'm your host, Galina Findikevich. With me today, I have Dr. Nikki Siso, who is a certified holistic health practitioner. She will be sharing about health and wellness coaching, as well as her total toxic load assessment.
Nailed it.
Yes. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Galina. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
What is holistic health coaching? Can you walk us through your process and how you got here?
So with holistic health, we take it's a holistic, meaning we look at all the different parts of the body. So we don't just look at what the person's consuming, but also what they're breathing, what they're consuming from like media standpoint, what there might be stressed at work. We look at how much they're getting in nature, if they feel supported by their friends and their loved ones, if they're living on purpose. Like we take a holistic approach to someone's well-being. We don't just look at one small avenue like food, even though what goes into your mouth and you consume has probably one of the bigger impacts on your body. But maybe what you're thinking also impacts the body, right? Because if you're stressed and you have even a perfectionist tape, or like I'm only lovable if I achieve, then you have a heightened level of cortisol throughout the day, which causes inflammation, which then might cause you to do some coping mechanisms like unhealthy foods or alcohol or different numbing agents that you're attempting to get back down to baseline, but those actually trigger and spike more cortisol responses. So it's very important to look at take a holistic approach when it comes to looking at someone's health.
That's so true. It is really an entire ecosystem.
Correct.
And
exactly.
I do notice, for me, I tend to have high cortisol because I'm always a founder. I'm in high stress industries, whether that was finance or blockchain and now AI.
Yeah.
And I do notice, especially whether I am in an environment where, let's say I have a meeting and I'm in a building with no windows, how that impacts me in my high stress job with what I just ate to produce either a high performance or a low performance. So I really like this 360 view that you have. How did you get into it?
So this has been a long personal journey with health. I developed type 1 diabetes at 29 years old, which is rare. Normally that's a condition that someone experiences at 4 years old or much younger. But I had actually, when I dove into the research, I found out that I had the 8 causes that are known to cause type 1 or trigger type 1 responses in the body. But the more I did research, the more I realized that the body, we diagnose people, but that's diagnosing the symptom. It's not understanding what the root cause is. What caused the body to express this new way of being? Right? It's tired, or it doesn't even have to be an official diagnosis like cancer or diabetes or heart disease, right? It can be you're exhausted, you've gained weight, your brain isn't functioning, you're searching for words all of a sudden, right? The body will give us smaller signals, and it's usually when we don't pay attention to those, we end up with a full-blown diagnosis. But no matter where you are on that spectrum, the opportunity is to look at, okay, what's causing that? And so I went on a quest. I was like, how can it be? I've been vegan since I was 15. I'm now 29 with type 1 diabetes.
That doesn't make sense.
Right? It didn't make sense at all. But when I did some digging, well, I had a super hypercritical mother. She loved me like crazy, but hypercritical. And she liked things done her way. I took it personally. I thought my inner dialogue was, I can't get anything right. Right? And so with that subconscious programming, every time I did something and I ran that tape, or I called my mother and I'm sharing something I'm excited about, and she pointed out how, her fear tape ran and pointed something out that I wasn't doing right, or how I should do it her way. I immediately went to alcohol or marijuana or some kind of food that was cookie, right? And so this is how the body plays together. This is how these it was described to me this way, and it really helped me. Imagine what a body can tolerate is a glass cup, right? And if your body has already got adverse childhood experiences, right? You had somehow an abusive a parent, or somehow an abusive situation in your childhood. It doesn't even have to be physical abuse. It can be mental abuse as well. But that fills your cup halfway because you're now already operating at an elevated cortisol state. Then you add alcohol use. Then you add mold exposure. Then you add antibiotics. Then you add all the stuff in our food system right now with the preservatives and all the chemicals and additives that are in there. Then on top of that, you're at a stressful job, right? Your body will break. The cup will overflow then your genetics play a role. It will break at the weakest link. So for me, it was my pancreas. And because it's an autoimmune condition, my inner, it's like my inside my head was attacking myself. So my body starts attacking itself.
It's so funny how that body-brain connection is tightly coupled, and we always see it as completely separately.
No. But
it really starts up here.
Correct. And so that led me on a path. I wanted to know everything I could understand about the body. I earned a master's in sustainability at Harvard. I wanted to understand what were the toxins that were coming into our environment and how they were causing disease in the body. I then studied a PhD in holistic health and nutrition. My mom and I actually did that together. So we have that background, really understanding how the body operates, we studied peak performance was our specialty. So what will support the body in operating in peak performance mode so that you're fully optimized and you get all the nutrients and the vitamins and the life force that food should give you. That's why we advocate raw food at Conscious Kitchen, is because it's full of life force. If you think of a leaf of spinach, if you hold it up raw, it can stand there all vibrant. What happens when you cook it? Right? It wilts. And that's the life force is going. And a lot of the nutrients, and so the value, the spark of life, we try and we do our best to preserve. And that's how we like to eat now. But I also sat with shamans around the world to get into the subconscious mind and really understand what's governing, what are those stories, what are those beliefs, where do they start? That's what a lot of plant medicine will support with, but breathwork as well can do that. Holotropic breathwork can do the psychosomatic work that you need to get the stuck energy that's in your body up and out of your system. And then all of a sudden you're just lighter and clearer and you don't have these like reactions. I was reacting to my mother and it upset me so much that I would meet her with anger instead of with love and kindness and patience. And so that became my quest of like, okay, how do I control these reactions so that I'm not turning to the coping mechanisms and I'm not turning to anger reactively and I have no control, and then I'm mad at myself and then I'm in a shame spiral and then I'm eating because I feel ashamed, right? Like, so really managing the thoughts was very important to me. And so breath work, shaman work, and then I tried every biohacking tool, newest. I wore the goggles, the meditation, the tracks, you lay on these beds with the vibrate and with sound, and
you really tried everything.
Every single thing I could get my hands on, because I knew I was capable of more, and I knew I was capable of calming my nervous system. That's the trick. It's calming the nervous system, learning how to do that, and then really hearing these stories and choosing a different one. But if you're not, if you're captured, if you're still living in the story, it's very hard to control the reaction. There's no pause, right? You want that pause to then make a different choice, but there's no pause when you're in that reaction state.
Right. I did some breath work. I had a fabulous experience, and I've never been a breath work person. I'm part of a community called Summit, and they have these
Yes.
flagship events. A couple years ago now, I went to Summit Baja in Mexico, and it was so beautiful. We stayed at a Marriott there, and there was a session led by Wim Hof.
Yeah.
And Wim Hof led the entire auditorium through a breathwork practice.
Wonderful.
And I was astounded at how long I could even hold my breath, because I always saw myself as a shallow breather and I can't hold my breath for too long. But through his breathwork practice, I was able to hold my breath. I think it was for 2 minutes or 4 minutes. He challenged everyone, and I actually did it. I never thought it was possible. But how I felt after coming out of the session, oh my gosh, I felt light as a feather.
Yeah.
I felt like the world opened up. I mean, as a high achiever, high performer, I feel bogged down on a daily basis with the weight of decisions and with the weight of the world, and trying to consistently keep my high achiever, high performer status. But after that session, I felt so light. I felt like I could just be me, and whether that's the self-love coming in and not listen to the criticism of the world or be too harsh on myself, that breath work really impacted other areas of my life. And I realized how much I needed to be mindful of more holistic practices, or take that 360 view of my life. And it sounds like when people come to you, something broke inside of them, and they realize that they need help, something needs to change. They need help identifying exactly what it is, whether that is diet or mental or the stories they've been telling about themselves, and you help guide them through an assessment to determine what are the factors leading to this breakage and how they can resolve those factors to come out the other end in a holistic, healthier way.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
And what is intriguing is with Gen AI now, you have found a way to implement AI in the work that you do to become a better coach to your clients as well, to be able to even have capacity to handle more clients. I'd love to learn what worked in using AI for your practice, what hasn't worked the best, and what you think engineers in Silicon Valley could build to help enable you to serve your clients better.
I have literally become the health coach that I've always dreamed of becoming.
Because of AI.
Because of AI. Because I now have access and the capacity to remember a breadth of knowledge that I now have access to peer-reviewed studies that came out of Japan and Sweden, and I have access to agents now that I've built out that are trained in functional toxicology. I studied at Harvard, right? My sustainability was from Harvard. I couldn't remember all of the 86,000 chemicals that the EPA has approved and how they each one of them affect the body.
That's a lot to remember.
It's a crazy amount.
Yes.
And so there's no way one human could know all of the facts, even in one discipline. I now have access and actual access to knowledge from across 15 different disciplines that I now know work because I've tested them on my own body. Right. So I brought in the functional toxicology, the integrative neurology, the IFS parts work, the trained trauma-informed coaching is a skill. I've brought in the polyvagal theory, like all of these different theories that if you were to specialize in one, like cognitive behavior therapy, that's psychology training for a decade, like 9 years of studying, right? To really fully understand, to really understand, to have read every single peer-reviewed study out there. AI can do that in minutes. And then I've trained a skill to be really dialed in each one of these modalities. And then I directed as well where not to look. So it's not allowed to pull from anything the FDA, the EPA, or any pharmaceutical companies have approved. It's not allowed because I don't want anything that's had a vested interest in getting passed. Right? The EPA approved 86,000 chemicals. How? They didn't have the manpower to test all of those chemicals. They put the onus on the company to do the job of testing these chemicals and say that they're safe.
So the incentives are misaligned there. It sounds like you have a philosophy and you have a whole belief system around holistic health. With the infinite knowledge that is produced in the world, the infinite studies in other languages, what Claude, since you mentioned skill, Claude allows you to do is search for these specific studies, not everything, given your philosophy, given how you like to consider health coaching. You pick the information, you direct Claude, which has everything, but you don't want everything. You don't want FDA, EPA, and you say, this is my program. This is what I believe in. This is my judgment, and consolidate these specific pieces of information for me to use for my clients.
Correct. So I've developed a toxic load assessment. I call it TOX. I call it detective talks, because it will take the person first through their health assessment. It goes through 15 different systems in the body and finds out exactly how the person's sleeping and their hormones and all the different effects on the body. And then it gets a really clear read on where the person is physically and emotionally in that moment. And then it will take them on a hunt through their home for the toxins in their home. So you'll actually be directed to your bathroom, take pictures, or you can type out your beauty products and it will tell you what's in those beauty products that are like this one's excellent or this one's really poor. And this is why it's leading to the thyroid condition, right? It will correlate it based on these studies that I've researched. And then we'll take you through your kitchen and where you like to eat, and then into your mind, and actually ask you questions based on might trigger some childhood beliefs or uncover some childhood beliefs that were formed that create this now cortisol cascade. So this has, and the best part about all of it is that it will connect all the dots. So not only are you rubbing your hair with phthalates in your shampoo and lathering parabens on your face and your lotion, and maybe eating seed oils at the restaurant that you love, but you're also running this perfectionist tape or this achiever tape, right? And so these all build in, right, to this glass, and you overflow. And that's why you come to us and you're like, I feel depleted. I'm exhausted. My brain's not working. Like I know I'm capable of more.
Because of Claude, you created this thorough assessment.
Correct.
Using AI under the hood.
Yes.
With certain studies and areas that you've curated AI to focus on, help people do this assessment, help your clients on their own through a nice UI, through a chat experience. What did the intake process look like before AI when you were doing this one-on-one with clients?
Before AI, it was taking me hours to go through with each client. It would never be as thorough as what it is now. It actually, I think because there was a human element, maybe there's a little bit of a fear of judgment, of really sharing what is happening. Like some clients would keep things a little bit more secretive. And also the ability to really clearly know the root causes and identify them within 45 minutes. No way before. No way. This now moves way faster. It saves me hours of work.
Yeah. That's amazing, where you can focus on either conscious kitchen at your restaurant or reading the results and working with the client on the results of the report versus the very manual and drudgery of like the first intake in the questionnaire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then now it's so quick. They get a report within minutes of the completing the assessment, 10-page report explaining exactly what low-hanging fruit they can work on right away. And the tools are just, it's shocking how well AI worked for this, because I had to train it, first of all, to really be compassionate, which is an interesting concept, right? To train artificial intelligence to be compassionate. But it's trained to be very pleaser naturally, or because they want you to stay on the AI tool. I had to train it to be more direct, but also be gentle. Like, so there's we don't want to just call someone out on, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this. It's overwhelming. So I've trained it to point out what the person's doing right, what is actually working. And then with a little bit of padding, they can receive, okay, this needs to be addressed.
Yes, it's so funny because receiving feedback is hard no matter who you are, first of all. And it does require a certain tenacity when you deliver that feedback. And AI requires that tone training. Is in a previous episode when I was talking to a public relations specialist in deep tech, and he really was focused on the exact tone and voice when he's communicating deep tech to the public, which is very different than how engineers talk about the technology. And in the same way is you don't want to overload. So taking this general purpose model, no matter what industry you're in, there requires like this finagling to make sure that it talks to a human, depending on who the listener is, in a very specific way, so that the output is received in the best way possible. And you've been able to do that. And it sounds like you also walk through the report with your clients to add to the padding, but also have that, AI making everybody happy with the results. I mean, it tells you what you want to hear, but taking that a little step back of, here are some of the things that you need to fix. So you're almost a translator with the AI yourself.
Yeah, and I can go deeper where people don't want to go with a chatbot per se. Right. And I trained it also, like, don't push. If someone doesn't want to answer a question, don't push, just flag it in my report. And then if I think it's necessary, we'll go deeper there.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible that Claude enabled you to do this on your own. Although I do know that you hired some help to sew all of these pieces together, whether it's what the client actually uses and Claude under the hood. Where did AI create moments of frustration for you where it was not just, one prompt job done, which is the ads I've been seeing on New York City subways by a certain AI company? I've seen it 100 times and it always says one prompt job done, and that's never the case in AI.
No, not at all. This took me hours, hundreds of hours to put together. No, there's no way. Because even with the research, right, finding all the different studies and then adjusting them, and then making sure that, when I say adjusting, meaning selecting what needs to be in there, and then adjusting the tone, and then adjusting the languaging, because it would come out as this long bulk text chatbot and it's too much to read, and I had to shorten that, and then it got too short, and then it's a continuous stream of fixes. And then that's not even to get into once you actually create a user experience with a developer, now we've got a whole series of bugs. It would stop midway and just stop, and we're like, what happened?
That's not a good user experience at all.
Apparently we ran out of tokens. You got to consider that into the mind, right? Or like it just wouldn't send the email at the end with the report, or it just wouldn't, because the report is 10 pages long. Well, I just figured out that it was too much to put as a final response in the chat. It needs to be taken off the chat and done on the back end and then sent as an email. Right now we had it going as the final thing that gets submitted on the chat, but it's too big of a bulk. It was too big of an ask, right? because it was not only the report, but also I get it for my eyes only. I've trained it to write a report for me of what this person really needs and supports me as well. And also a JSON. So it had 3 instructions at the end, and then it would just freeze. And then it was freaky because we thought this person just took 45 minutes to go through this full assessment, and where's the report?
I would be so mad if I spent 45 minutes and got nothing at the end.
Right? I mean, you're taught throughout the whole report. You're learning. It's an education. It will tell you, okay, this is what's in your mascara. You know, you didn't know. I thought I was all organic, right? I'm good. I went through it, and it told me about Oral-B has PFAS. Forever chemicals in my floss. I had no idea. So multiple times a day, I am smacking my gums, the most sensitive tissue, absorbing tissue in my body, with forever chemicals.
Wow.
What?
That's dangerous.
It's crazy. We're bombarded by toxicity, and it's really important to find out where it is. And that's why Tox is designed to, and that's why I have separate skills for each one of these. I originally had it all as one skill. It was too much because the reference banks each have like 17 plus documents in them alone with the peer-reviewed studies and all the different knowledge. So I had to break it up into 3 different, now it's 15 different skills. There's a nervous system regulator. There's not only the toxins in the home, toxins in the food, toxins in the mind. It's a full complex program that all talks to each other, right? There's a conductor that first introduces a tox, and then sends you to the assessor, the health assessor. And then the health assessor sends it back to the conductor. Now the conductor sends it to all right, let's go on a hunt through your house based on what the assessment came back with, right? And then that comes back, and then we go to the food. So it's like this constant back and forth through multiple different skills. All of that had to be built out on the back end. I didn't know how to do that. And it's not an obvious user-friendly system that I have seen. Potentially, at the end of the month, I go to see a 2-day workshop for Chip that might be able to put all of this together without a developer, and it tests itself. That's the one thing that's also missing, testing itself. So you can tell right now, you can tell Claude, hey, pretend like you're a user and go through and test this chatbot. And on Claude, on the back end, it will go through and do a whole runs and oh yeah, got stuck here. Let me fix the code. Does great job.
That's really helpful.
Awesome.
So you don't have to sit there and do it.
Right. Once I figured that, I was like, oh. And so I was doing it on my end because otherwise I was finding a bug, but my developer had to fix it. And now I could do it myself, but I couldn't fix what he set up. I couldn't fix if the conductor and the health assessor weren't talking together. That was on the back end. I could only fix the skills.
I see.
Yeah. So, but that's a really cool trick, by the way, just so you know.
Self-checking AI.
Yeah. Pretend like you're 5. I told her, I was like, pretend like you're 5 very difficult clients. Don't answer this fruitfully. Answer almost not want to answer or give half answers or right. Just be difficult. And it did. It ran through 5 different types of clients that could come with all sorts of different health conditions, and it found the bugs. So that was great, but the back end could still be way easier.
It sounds like it. And someone like you who is non-technical, but you're a practitioner in a very specific vertical when it comes to holistic health, you don't necessarily want to take the time to do all of the hooking things up in the back end, but you have the instructions of what you need and what you want the system to do, how it operates, and the output.
Claude gave me the instructions. I handed the instructions to the developer. If I can get the step-by-step instructions from Claude, why can't I just hand this to a model and say, build it?
Yes, you gave yourself instructions, LLM. Now go do it.
Do it. Why is there a person involved and he's the one, not that he's making mistakes, but now there's a human element. Humans make more mistakes than computers.
Yes, it's so funny. I mean, this is the state of technology and AI as well. When there are all these claims of AGI and AI taking over people's work, including software engineering and all of this, it makes me laugh because there are still some very hard, tactical, technical things that AI is just simply incapable of and still requires engineering help to accomplish that. Similar to how Amazon, AWS, they laid off 30,000 software engineers because they had coding AI, and they're like, okay, we don't need you anymore. Amazon went down for a few days, a couple of times, and they ended up hiring engineers back. Like, it still takes some help to get the AI like really working end to end the way it's supposed to. Again, not one prompt job done.
No, not one prompt done. And that's hard to say. One prompt job done.
Job done.
No. And I think it's a lost opportunity because I'm now working like 10 people, but I'm actually doing more. I'm working harder now that I've had AI because the power of it is so fascinating and so like addictive that I can create all the things that before weren't possible for me or would have needed a much larger budget or a team of 10, right? So now I can actually do all these ideas that I have in my head, but now I'm working on all of them, and it does still take hours to put together. My mother thinks it's like this one prompt job done thing, and I'm no,
multiple iterations,
yeah,
and then it doesn't give you the full information. You still have to say, wait, that doesn't sound right. What about this?
right.
It is a lot of work. To your point, I mean, there are days and days where I just don't even leave my apartment at all because I'm away talking to AI, building my business and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to do more. Now I can do this. Now I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's just I end up working so much more, so much harder, and reading through all those long outputs from AI.
They're
it
long.
Adds to the mental load. Oh my gosh,
they're long.
Too much.
Yeah, they're really long.
Yes.
But it's so fun though.
It is a lot of fun.
It's an obsession. I'll full on own it, but I'm fine with it. I love the capabilities. I love being able to produce and create such high level and things that were unimaginable before. Like the number of people I can help now with having an assessment, right? That gives them a full report on how to help detoxify their whole life. Like imagine the impact I can have going from one-on-one to now 1 billion people can take talks. What happens when 1 billion people take this test, to this assessment, detoxify their life? They start choosing products that aren't harming their own body. That has a ripple effect on the environment. Now, 150 billion bottles of plastic aren't going out into the rivers and the oceans, and they're right 100. It's staggering the numbers that can be impacted. Like I think Talks said if we reach 1 billion people, right? I put it in there because why not? It said it would take off like 500 billion or tons of pesticides, like some crazy unfathomable number, right? Of like, we're polluting this planet. And when we start detoxing ourselves, we naturally detox the planet.
That's so beautiful. I mean, knowledge is power. And you're able to scale your philosophy and your knowledge through something like this as an assessment without everyone having to go to Claude and saying, how can we reduce pesticides in the world? It just goes through how do we make ourselves healthier?
Right.
And then it has all of these unknown impacts,
Correct.
which can be so positive.
Exactly. Yeah.
With that said, what can Silicon Valley do to build capabilities or technology to enable you to be a better coach?
I would love if AI could actually use my voice in real time to have a dialogue with someone. Because currently yes, there's 11 labs. There are ways to do voice cloning, but the speed of the conversation, there's a very long delay from someone putting in a reply, right? So you go through the talks assessment, ask a question, the person puts in a reply. That reply needs to be read, interpreted, and then response created. That happens pretty quickly on type. It does not happen fast enough on voice. Right now, it's probably a good 5 to 8 seconds. It's a long enough delay to where it's
it's like, a very jerky experience.
It's jerky. Yeah. So that being tightened would be amazing. That would make the assessment feel more human is a funny thing to say, but more like connected might be a better word, right? And definitely on the deployment side, if I could just say, here's my set of skills. This is the chat bot. It's already, all the instructions are there. Here's the instructions on the platform that I want to create, what the user gets to experience, the whole user portal, data security encrypted, like in there automatically, with a really strong sense of my tone that sticks and stays, right? That doesn't fade. That would be remarkable.
This sounds like a really cool product suite idea. You have your trained tox report, assessment, all of that. They use AI to create. People can maybe do this in a conversational voice way as they're maybe walking around their house and your voice is asking them, go check your cabinets, go check your makeup. What do you see? Tell me about that. That would be a nice interactive experience versus typing everything out. And then the whole client profile idea of, okay, you have the results, you have the report, which right now is a PDF, but you want it to be dynamic. You don't want it to be a static report. Maybe do periodic assessments, but also an easy way for the person to see like their top toxicity scores in all the different areas, for you to get a quick read before you talk to a client without having to go through the report in a nice dashboard and maybe see trends over time.
Yes.
I mean, this would just enable you to be such a great coach to way more clients as well.
Huge. That would be perfect. Please develop this and come back to me. Yeah. Yeah.
No, first customer right here.
I love it. But this could be applied to any different industry, right? If you're a coach of peak performance, or you're any kind of coach, it doesn't matter, right? If you could download your knowledge, enhance it with peer-reviewed studies, things that actually work in the industry from around the world, right? And then have it come through with because the way I say things or the way you say things might land for someone differently. You could have heard the exact same thing from someone else and it didn't register. And then when I say it the way I say it, somehow you're like, oh my God, like I live life differently now, right?
Yes.
So capturing that tone is very important per coach. Really important to get that right. And so there's still room there. There's a lot of room there to where it's to really embody, which is so humanistic, but right? Like, how do we get these AI tools to embody the human experience?
It's an onboarding experience issue, I think. So how can there be a capability to allow you to be onboarded, assessed, interviewed in a way where it's pulling out your specific voice and crafts it for you by asking the relevant questions, or for you to discuss the perspective you take, how you like to communicate,
right?
Which is how your customers like to hear the information,
right?
A big part of coaching, I know, is accountability.
Yes.
Knowing that someone is going to check in on you, knowing somebody is going to ask the hard questions. Now, AI has that. Like, on paper, that capability is available. It can send notifications to your phone. It's, did you eat the right foods today? Did you change your perfume? Whatever it is. But it's easy, at least for me, to ignore notifications or not pay attention, or maybe I just see it and I don't truly think about it. So how can you, as a coach, help with that accountability piece, but leverage AI in the process?
Yeah. So in that case, there has to be a human at some point in the chain. So even if AI did the automatic prompting of like, hey, what you eat today? Your reply, if you knew is going to get seen by a human, then there's it challenges your integrity to not reply, right?
I see.
That's what's missing. When it's just 100% AI and there's no, then you're just like, I can ignore it today. But if you knew at the end of the week or at some point, I'm going to get that text message and I'm going to see, oh, look, what happened? Right. So I think but it still makes my job 100 times. I don't have to remember to prompt you.
Right. It can
Huge.
be automated.
I can just see whether or not where you're off track and check in when I can see that. And I can actually, I've set up AI when someone's going through our detox program, that if they check a score of like feeling really tired today, I know, okay, they're going through their detox symptoms have started, and I can check in on them and be like, all right, today rest. Don't go try and do 10 things. Honor your body and rest, right? But I can get all of that can be automated, and then I get the prompt when they need me. Whew. Huge.
That would be really cool. Saves a lot of admin time on your end, the manual work, the remembering, oh, did I check in with this person? You can just set up one check-in system and apply it to multiple clients.
Right.
And then have all their responses synthesized for you.
Yeah. And so yeah, we have that already, where I've set up the daily text messages, and I make the text messages in my voice. So like, good morning, sunshine, like they get that.
Yeah.
And I can even send a voice memo that's pre-recorded, so they actually hear me. So there are ways to make it still me, but all of that takes hours still to set up. It takes diligence. I have to go through every single text message, make sure it's all there. It's all like me. Yeah. So the more we get closer to a real sense of the essence of the being that can be expressed, and that would be ideal.
How can other types of technologies inform your coaching or the holistic health assessment?
Yeah, so this is a fun one I came up with in the shower, as one does, a wearable. And I'm sure this already exists, but I don't know if it's set up this way. A wearable that will track your HR, your heart rate variability, HRV. And then when there's a noticeable shift, like all of a sudden there's an uptick in your heart rate, like you're pulsing faster, then maybe there's an opportunity that it will either vibrate, or it will send you a nice little like, hey, take a nice deep breath. You're good. You're safe, right? Like, what does your nervous system actually need right now? What does your little girl need right now? Like you're loved. Don't forget. Right?
Oh, that would be so nice.
Yeah, something gentle and beautiful.
Yes.
That really like reminds you, okay, yeah, I got this. I'm good. And so that's all AI, right?
Based on your assessment too. So if you are like me, high achiever, chronic stress, I need certain phrases to help me get through like the high heart rate moments, which have happened so many times over the past few days alone. And it would have been nice. I've talked to Nigel, which is my ChatGPT's name, and always like, Nigel, I'm not doing good. I'm so stressed about XYZ. Like, help me work through this. But as you mentioned, a wearable or a better way to deliver that would make a huge difference in my life. Yeah,
so when you nailed it, because when you go through talks, the last section is the mind, right? So it's gonna pull out of you in a really beautiful way. Like, it's shocking how fast. I had a client go through this, and they're like, literally within 3 questions, it got to the root of my belief system that's like been challenging me my whole life. Like, I've worked with she's like, I worked with therapists my whole life. They didn't get to this.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it is so good. I mean, it's literally trained on the top therapists from around the world. Like,
so if you're getting the best minds in the room with you,
you can't, no single practitioner could know all of this in any single discipline, let alone 15, right? That all work together. So now it knows, okay, you have an achievement, right? Story that you got to achieve to feel loved. And so it's going to say, hey, by the way, you're doing a really good job. Like, or whatever will land for you in the most potent way. Like, think about right now what you are doing, what's working for you, right? Or like, think about, it could prompt you, be like, what are you doing right now?
Oh, right now it's my mantra. My mantra is, I'm lucky and I'm grateful. I'm lucky and I'm grateful. And I think about to where I first started, especially in childhood. I mean, growing up in poverty, and knowing right now, I'm lucky and I'm grateful, because guess what? I'm in Austin right now in an Uber, and I can afford all of this, and it's working out. So getting back to the basics of, I'm just grateful to how far I've made it so today. And I always just have to say, I'm lucky and I'm grateful. And even if I don't believe it in the moment, repeating that over and over and over again gets me to calm down. Like, yes, okay, let's not hyperfixate on the current problem. Let's focus on the big picture and how far you've come.
Yeah, that's really the gist of it too, is we all need to calm our nervous systems. We're living a wildly not unnatural life. We're not in nature we don't live in nature. Basically, we have to like plan a trip to a hike.
Yes.
Right. We've got notifications, we've got bills, we've got people depending on us, we've got all of these like status things we've got to keep up for. Right. We got to look apart. We got to be perfect. We got no wrinkles. There's a lot of pressure, and so calming the nervous system, anything that if we can use technology for good, it would be to calm the nervous system and to help us get back to baseline of like, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm supported, I'm guided, I'm protected.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love for technology to be used for good like that more. And for Silicon Valley companies to stop saying that they're going to use technology to wipe out jobs and change their entire rhetoric to say, we live in a chaotic world right now with all these pressures, with toxins, with just so much on our mind. Like, all our minds are heavy, our food is heavy, everything. So to use AI to prepare us or help us be better armored for the world that we live in today.
Yes. Beautiful. And it's doable. It's totally doable. And I don't think it will, it might wipe out some jobs, but I think the opposite. We can just do more. We can actually achieve more and be more human. It wipes out the jobs that are mundane, that people don't want to do. It's taken over, like the thing, like I have an automated posting system now I've set up through Claude. I don't post a single thing. It researches based on all of the skills and training that I've already given it to all these skills. It will pull data and then create a blog post. From that blog post, it gets sent to Blatedo and my Google Docs. And then Blatedo creates an Instagram post with a hook and the content and the copy, all scheduled weekly. I don't touch it. There's one point where I can do a check and be like, yep, I like that. Go. Right. So there's like, I can still prove it, but I hated doing all of that. It was like the worst part of my job. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to help people. Like, I just want to be in front of someone supporting and serving. And so it takes the jobs that I think weren't human off and actually allows us to be in our creative free state. Now my job is to, how can I partner? How can I collaborate? How can I support 1 billion people in detoxing this planet? Right now I can think scale and then I actually have the systems that I can use to implement this.
And that's a beautiful mission.
Thank you.
Very beautiful mission.
Thank you.
Nikki, this has been a heartwarming conversation. If somebody wanted to work with you or take the tox assessment themselves, how can they do it?
Yes, go to consciouskitchenatx.com/tox, or you'll see the little sandwich in the top right corner and you'll click tox. You can take the assessment right away. It is so powerful. You'll learn so much. Like, if you don't get a mind-blown experience, it's fully money-back guaranteed. I have that much faith in it.
I am going to have to do my tox assessment tonight.
Please. Yes.
Thank you for listening. You can find this conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and follow along on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank you, Galina.